I created this build that I pretty much just call the Scuffed Tempest build. Let me show you the actual Tempest build that I based it on. So here we have an actual Tempest build, which of course uses an axe, but you can use a hammer as well, I guess. I don't really know too much about these builds. But yeah, with an axe and with Sovereign's Wrath, basically what happens is your Tempest gets the 75% damage bonus from the axe determination stacks, and after not dealing damage for 4 seconds, your next 2 attacks deal 50% more damage. So your Tempest and also your axe throws deal a metric fuck ton of damage. And the way Tempest works is, once you dodge, you acquire 1 stack. I'm just saying this if you're a new player and you haven't seen this before. You get a stack, and then you can press your Omnicell ability key to essentially charge into a behemoth as a lightning bolt, and you deal a ton of damage, but it's not so much damage unless you stack movement speed. And so the rest of the build is basically focusing on, and most Tempest builds have a bunch of, well, this build is pretty much just focusing on that movement speed increase. You have things like the Invigorated Cell, which, I don't know if you can, yeah, we can see it. Invigorated gives you 50% movement speed when you're below 50% stamina. You have the Fleet-footed, even more movement speed. Sprinter, even more movement speed. And then this build goes out basically as much as it can on movement speed, because where is the lantern is Strike Zeal, which further increases your movement speed, and then it uses Zeal cells to increase that Shrike Lantern effectiveness by, I don't know, 50%, 75%, 65%, I'm really sorry. And then finally it uses Cunning as well to get some crit. Interestingly enough, it uses Cunning and not Pulse, but it is what it is. And on top of that, it uses Sharpen, because the Sovereign's Wrath already has Sharpen, so you might as well use that. And a lot of people enjoy the big numbers, even though it's just part damage and not core damage, which is not really great. But the main reason I'm using this build, I understand that it's part damage, it's not core damage, whatever, precisely because I wanted to cut down behemoth body parts. Let's go back into the game. There are some really bad behemoth parts that you need to cut down, that are really difficult to cut down, especially with some weapons because of janky hitboxes and whatnot. A couple of these are, for instance, the let's look at the Thrax. The Thrax weapons, let me just show you something I haven't crafted yet. You need 15 claws from Thrax limbs to craft this. Another one is Chronovore fins. You need 10 fins to craft something, any weapon really, and these are really difficult to cut. But with Tempest, it automatically targets unbroken parts, so it's really good to stack this and then just go for part break if you haven't crafted all the weapons or all the armor yet. It took me about almost exactly 3 hours to complete my reforge. I only used a couple of bounty tokens, so this is also a great build for new players to get their reforges. And it's pretty decent for just basic behemoths as well, because obviously you need a good build to get to the boss behemoths. I'm gonna show you clips of that happening, some big numbers. It's really fun actually, pretty powerful. And this is really Scuffed. It's not complete yet. I have 3 of these cells and it's not ideal. I don't want this. All of these are essentially used in the other axe build that I showed you. It's very similar, except I just got it today, the Spellbound gloves. I need to replace that and power surge that at some point, but I'm still not convinced yet that I want Zeal and Insight cells, because Insight cells are normally pretty bad. The rest of this is the same thing, and as you can see, I'm not using axe, I'm using the chain blades, and it's not so great with Tempest, but for everything else outside of Tempest, I just prefer to not use axe. I have used X a little bit. I have 5 reforges on that, but I find it really difficult. X was just, it's just such a difficult weapon to use. It's really slow. I don't find it that fun either anymore. I'm using something else. That's pretty much it. Based on the build, as you can see, I have pretty much the same cells. Let me just put back Cunning. These are pretty much the same cells: Cunning, Fleet-footed, Invigorated, Sprinter. What I'm missing is the Zeal, of course, and the 6 Sharpened. However, I would recommend, and I can't remember what weapon what other insight thing I used, but there was a time when I started. That's the video I posted on Reddit yesterday. Let's have a look at that actually for a second. People actually really found this enjoyable. I thought that people would just hate this video because normally, not sure why the quality is so bad. Normally people just downvote, you know, Tempest stuff. Massive damage. That's the 50% damage bonus from Sovereign's Wrath. By the way, you probably heard nothing because it was super loud. I'm sorry, but yeah, back then I wasn't using, and I'm still not convinced that Sprinter is that good. You do get the movement speed which stacks the Tempest, but what I did before is, instead of Sprinter, genius I know, I just used Adrenaline. And Adrenaline is great. We are constantly at like near 0 stamina, and Adrenaline gives you, I don't even know by default how much, like 10 stamina missing, so around maybe around like 20-30% damage, depending on how much stamina you have, of course. So I had this, and I also had 6 Cascade. I can't remember what I replaced for Cascade, but I just really like Cascade as a new player. When you have 6 Cascade, you have a bunch of healing. You have the stamina orb, so what I end up doing is I go down to near 0 stamina, and especially with Adrenaline, it's great. You go down near 0 stamina, spawn Cascade, you spawn a stamina orb, and then you can just do your Chain Blades combo constantly, and you deal massive damage without losing stamina. You can do the stamina stuff without stamina, is what I'm trying to say. So it's a massive crutch to have Cascade, in my opinion. I know a lot of people hate this, but I just really think it's very powerful as a new player. When you are just like, I don't get hit constantly, but I get hit quite enough, so that I need some survivability. And instead of being like, okay, I'm gonna do way more damage, what I'm going for is a little bit more survivability, so I can actually finish the more difficult escalation rounds, and then head to the final boss and actually beat that, even if I'm missing some health, some syringes and revive kits. And the other thing that is similar to Cascade is, as you can see, I'm not using Shrike's Zeal. I'm going more for Skarn Lantern. Skarn Lantern is absolutely amazing. It deals decent amount of damage, and it just gives you a ton of shields. At this point, once I've done a couple of 10 till 50 escalations at like level 10 and I get used to it, I should probably replace, I don't want to replace Cascade, but I should probably replace Skarn's Defiance with something else. Again, like Shrike's Zeal would probably be the most ideal, but this is what I'm rolling with now. This is what you saw in the video, or you're seeing in the video right now. So yeah, it's a Scuffed Tempest build with Chain Blades and much more survivability. I think it's ideal for new players. Chain Blades has amazing dodge capabilities, and I hope you like it.